Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Hayes. Today, I'll take you through valuable health information that's easy to understand and apply. If you're not already following us, we might not appear on your feed again. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest videos. Now, I'm sharing my screen with you, so let's get started. If you're a man over 65 and you've been feeling less energetic, losing muscle mass, experiencing mood changes, or noticing a decline in your intimate life, what I'm about to share with you could be the missing piece of the puzzle you've been searching for. Today, we're going to uncover 7 seemingly harmless daily habits that are silently destroying your testosterone levels. And some of these discoveries have left endocrinologists and men's health specialists completely shocked. Recent research from the Harvard Medical School has revealed that up to 89% of testosterone decline in men over 65 isn't just due to natural aging, but is actually accelerated by specific lifestyle factors that most men don't even know are affecting their hormone levels. These aren't the obvious suspects like alcohol abuse or being severely overweight. These are everyday activities and choices that you probably make without giving them a second thought. Yet they're systematically destroying your body's ability to produce the hormone that makes you feel like a man. The American Urological Association reports that testosterone levels in men over 65 have dropped by an average of 1.2% per year over the past 3 decades. But here's the shocking truth: most of this decline isn't inevitable. The Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that men who unknowingly engage in these 7 testosterone-destroying habits experience hormone drops that are 300% faster than normal aging would account for. What's even more alarming is that many of these habits are things that well-meaning doctors, family members, and health articles actually recommend for senior men. But here's what gives me hope, and what should give you hope too. The same research that identified these testosterone killers also demonstrated that men who modified these specific behaviors experienced remarkable improvements in their hormone levels, energy, mood, and overall vitality. We're talking about men in their 70s and 80s who felt like they had turned back the clock by 10 or 15 years, simply by understanding what was sabotaging their hormones and making targeted changes. What makes this information so powerful is that it's not about expensive hormone replacement therapy, complicated medical procedures, or dangerous supplements. These are simple adjustments that you can start implementing today, and many men begin noticing improvements in their energy and mood within just 2 to 3 weeks. Some of the men I'll tell you about experienced life-changing results in a matter of months, simply by eliminating these hidden testosterone destroyers from their daily routines. Testosterone killer number 1. The prescription trap that's draining your manhood. Meet Robert Daniels, a 68-year-old retired bank manager from Cleveland, Ohio. Robert had always prided himself on being proactive about his health, visiting his doctor regularly, and taking his medications exactly as prescribed. Over the past 5 years, Robert had been prescribed a growing list of medications for various age-related conditions: a statin for cholesterol, a beta blocker for blood pressure, a proton pump inhibitor for acid reflux, and a sleep aid for insomnia. Robert trusted his doctors completely and never questioned whether these medications might be affecting other aspects of his health. What Robert didn't realize was that several of these commonly prescribed medications were systematically destroying his testosterone production in ways that his doctors had never discussed with him. Many medications routinely prescribed to older men have testosterone-suppressing effects that are often overlooked or dismissed as normal aging when men complain about fatigue, mood changes, or decreased libido. Beta blockers, which are prescribed to millions of men over 65 for blood pressure control, work by blocking certain receptors in the body. However, these same receptors play a crucial role in testosterone production and release. Studies have shown that men taking beta blockers can experience testosterone drops of 15 to 25% within just 6 months of starting treatment. Statins, the cholesterol-lowering drugs that are prescribed to nearly 50% of men over 65, interfere with the body's cholesterol production pathway. And since testosterone is made from cholesterol, this interference can significantly reduce hormone production. Proton pump inhibitors, commonly prescribed for acid reflux and heartburn, have been shown to interfere with the absorption of key nutrients like zinc and magnesium that are essential for testosterone production. Sleep medications, while helping with insomnia, can disrupt the natural sleep architecture that's crucial for optimal hormone production, particularly the deep sleep stages when the majority of testosterone is produced. Robert's wake-up call came gradually over about 2 years. He began noticing that his energy levels were declining steadily, despite getting adequate sleep and maintaining a decent diet. His mood became increasingly irritable and depressed, something his family noticed even before he did. His wife gently mentioned that he seemed less interested in physical intimacy, and Robert found himself avoiding activities he used to enjoy, like working in his garden or playing golf with friends. When Robert finally brought these concerns to his primary care physician, the doctor initially attributed them to normal aging and suggested antidepressants for his mood changes. It wasn't until Robert specifically asked about testosterone testing that his hormone levels were checked. The results showed testosterone levels that were barely above the clinical threshold for deficiency, levels that would be considered extremely low even for a man 20 years older. A comprehensive study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism followed 1,200 men over 65 for 3 years, tracking both their medication usage and testosterone levels. The study found that men taking multiple common medications experienced testosterone decline rates that were 2.5 times faster than men not taking these drugs. Even more concerning, the study revealed that many doctors weren't aware of these testosterone-suppressing effects and weren't monitoring hormone levels in their patients. The solution isn't necessarily to stop taking important medications, but rather to work with healthcare providers who understand these interactions and can help optimize treatment approaches. Sometimes alternative medications with less impact on testosterone are available. In other cases, the addition of testosterone support through lifestyle changes or carefully monitored hormone therapy can counteract the medication effects. Robert worked with an endocrinologist who specialized in men's health to review his entire medication regimen. They were able to switch his beta blocker to an ACE inhibitor that had less impact on testosterone, reduce his statin dose while adding natural cholesterol management strategies, and replace his proton pump inhibitor with a less problematic alternative. Within 4 months, Robert's testosterone levels had improved by 40%, and his energy, mood, and overall vitality had returned to levels he hadn't experienced in years. If you're currently taking multiple prescription medications and have noticed changes in your energy, mood, or vitality, write 1 in the comments. If you're not taking any medications that might affect testosterone, write 0. Understanding these medication interactions could be the key to reclaiming your vitality and feeling like yourself again. Testosterone killer number 2, the sleep saboteur destroying your hormone factory. David Chun, a 71-year-old retired engineer from Portland, Oregon, considered himself a disciplined sleeper. He went to bed at the same time every night, avoided caffeine after 2 p.m., and made sure to get his full 8 hours of sleep. David was proud of his sleep routine and often told friends that good sleep was one of his secrets to healthy aging. However, what David didn't realize was that the quality and timing of his sleep were systematically destroying his testosterone production in ways that no amount of sleep duration could compensate for. David's sleep pattern had gradually shifted over the years in ways that seemed natural and harmless. He found himself going to bed earlier, around 8:30 p.m., and waking up at 4:30 a.m. feeling rested and ready to start his day. He enjoyed the quiet morning hours and felt productive getting things done before the rest of the world woke up. What David didn't understand was that this early sleep schedule was putting him completely out of sync with his body's natural testosterone production cycle. Testosterone production in men follows a specific circadian rhythm, with the highest levels occurring during the early morning hours, typically between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. This timing is crucial because testosterone production is heavily dependent on specific sleep stages, particularly the REM sleep that occurs more frequently in the later part of the night. By going to bed at 8:30 p.m. and waking at 4:30 a.m., David was missing the critical sleep window when his body should have been producing the majority of his daily testosterone. Additionally, David had developed what he thought was a harmless habit of watching television in bed before sleep and checking his tablet for news and weather when he woke up in the middle of the night. The blue light exposure from these devices was disrupting his circadian rhythms and interfering with the deep sleep stages essential for hormone production. Even brief light exposure during nighttime hours can suppress melatonin production, which in turn affects the entire hormone production cascade, including testosterone. David's bedroom environment was also working against his hormone production. He kept the room quite warm because he felt cold easily, maintaining a temperature around 74 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Research has shown that optimal testosterone production occurs when body temperature drops during sleep, typically requiring room temperatures between 65 to 68 degrees. The warmer temperatures were preventing his body from achieving the temperature regulation necessary for optimal hormone production. The consequences of David's disrupted sleep patterns became apparent gradually over several years. He noticed that his morning energy, which had always been his strongest time of day, was declining. He felt less motivated to tackle projects and found himself needing afternoon naps, something he had never required before. His mood became more irritable, particularly in the afternoons, and he found himself less interested in social activities and hobbies that had previously brought him joy. When David mentioned his energy concerns during a routine checkup, his doctor suggested it might be related to his heart medication or normal aging. It wasn't until David specifically requested hormone testing that they discovered his testosterone levels were significantly below normal ranges for his age. Further sleep studies revealed that David's sleep architecture was severely disrupted, with insufficient REM sleep and poor sleep quality despite adequate sleep duration. Research from the University of Chicago followed 500 men over 65 for 2 years, using detailed sleep monitoring and regular hormone testing. The study found that men with disrupted circadian rhythms and poor sleep quality experienced testosterone drops of 35 to 50% compared to men with optimal sleep patterns. The research also demonstrated that correcting sleep patterns could restore testosterone levels within 6 to 8 weeks in many cases. The solution for David involved completely restructuring his sleep approach to support optimal hormone production. He gradually shifted his bedtime later to around 10:30 p.m. and his wake time to 6:30 a.m. to better align with natural circadian rhythms. He removed all electronic devices from his bedroom and invested in blackout curtains to eliminate any light exposure during sleep hours. David lowered his bedroom temperature to 66 degrees and began wearing lighter sleepwear to allow his body temperature to drop naturally during sleep. He also established a wind-down routine that included reading a physical book, gentle stretching, and avoiding any stimulating activities for 2 hours before bedtime. To support his circadian rhythm adjustment, David began spending 15 to 20 minutes in bright sunlight immediately upon waking. The transformation in David's hormone levels and overall well-being was remarkable and relatively rapid. Within 6 weeks of implementing these sleep optimizations, his testosterone levels had increased by 45%. His energy levels stabilized throughout the day. His mood improved significantly, and he regained interest in activities and social connections that he had been avoiding. David told me, "I never realized that the timing and quality of my sleep could have such a profound impact on how I feel. I thought I was doing everything right, but I was actually working against my body's natural rhythms." Make sure to subscribe to this channel because we're going to dive deeper into hormonal health strategies that your doctor probably won't tell you about. And the information I'm sharing today could literally add years of vitality to your life. Testosterone killer number 3, the silent stress that's stealing your strength. William Torres, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Phoenix, Arizona, thought he had successfully transitioned to a peaceful retirement. He wasn't dealing with work deadlines anymore. He had financial security, and he spent his days reading, gardening, visiting with family. However, William was experiencing a type of chronic stress that he didn't even recognize as stress, and it was systematically destroying his testosterone production in ways that seemed completely unrelated to his mental state. William's stress wasn't the obvious kind that comes from major life crises or dramatic events. Instead, he was dealing with what researchers call microstressors that accumulate throughout the day and create a constant state of physiological stress, even when mentally he felt calm and relaxed. These included things like traffic noise from a nearby highway, the constant hum of electronic devices in his home, irregular eating schedules, and exposure to inflammatory news media that kept his nervous system in a subtle state of alert. William lived in a home near a busy intersection where traffic noise was constant throughout the day and night. While he had grown accustomed to the sound and claimed it didn't bother him, his nervous system was responding to this chronic noise pollution with elevated stress hormone production. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, has a direct antagonistic relationship with testosterone. When cortisol levels remain elevated throughout the day due to chronic stressors, testosterone production is significantly suppressed. Additionally, William had developed a habit of staying informed about current events by watching news programs throughout the day and checking news websites frequently. While he felt it was important to stay informed, the constant exposure to negative, anxiety-provoking information was triggering stress responses that his body interpreted as threats requiring immediate attention. This kept his sympathetic nervous system activated and his stress hormones elevated, creating an internal environment hostile to testosterone production. William's eating schedule had also become irregular in retirement. Without the structure of work, he often skipped breakfast, had a late lunch, and sometimes ate dinner as late as 9 p.m. The study found that men exposed to chronic low-level stressors experienced testosterone reductions of 25 to 40% compared to men in more stress-controlled environments. The research also demonstrated that addressing these subtle stressors could restore hormone balance within 8 to 12 weeks. The solution for William involved identifying and systematically addressing the sources of chronic stress in his environment and routine. He installed white noise machines and improved window insulation to reduce traffic noise in his home. He limited news consumption to 15 minutes per day at a specific time rather than throughout the day, and he stopped checking news websites entirely. William established regular meal times that supported stable blood sugar, eating breakfast at 7 a.m., lunch at noon, and dinner at 6 p.m. He incorporated stress reduction techniques, including 10 minutes of deep breathing exercises each morning and evening, and he began spending at least 30 minutes per day in nature, away from electronic devices and urban noise. To support his nervous system recovery, William also began practicing progressive muscle relaxation before bed and established a technology-free hour before sleep. He replaced his habit of watching evening news with reading physical books or listening to calming music. The improvements in William's stress levels and hormone production were gradual but significant. Within 2 months of implementing these changes, his cortisol levels had normalized and his testosterone levels had increased by 35%. Testosterone killer number 4. The muscle-wasting exercise mistake. Frank Rodriguez, a 73-year-old retired mechanic from San Diego, California, had always believed that staying active was the key to healthy aging. After retiring, Frank developed what he considered a comprehensive exercise routine focused on cardiovascular health, which he had heard was the most important thing for men his age. Every morning, Frank would spend 45 to 60 minutes on his stationary bike, followed by a 30-minute walk around his neighborhood. He was proud of his consistency and often logged 8 to 10 miles of cardio exercise daily. What Frank didn't realize was that his exclusive focus on cardiovascular exercise, while avoiding resistance training, was actually accelerating testosterone decline and muscle loss in ways that were counterproductive to his health goals. Frank had been told by his previous doctor to avoid heavy lifting due to concerns about his back, and he had interpreted this to mean he should avoid all forms of resistance exercise. This well-intentioned but misguided approach was systematically destroying his body's natural testosterone production. Testosterone production in older men is heavily dependent on maintaining muscle mass and engaging in resistance activities that signal the body to continue producing anabolic hormones. When men focus exclusively on cardiovascular exercise without any resistance training, They experience accelerated muscle loss, which creates a downward spiral of decreasing testosterone production. Cardio exercise, while beneficial for heart health, doesn't provide the muscle-building stimulus necessary to maintain hormone production. Frank's extensive cardio routine was also elevating his cortisol levels in ways that directly suppress testosterone production. Long-duration cardiovascular exercise, particularly when performed daily without adequate recovery, creates a chronic stress response that favors cortisol production over testosterone. This is especially problematic for older men whose recovery capacity is naturally reduced compared to younger individuals. Additionally, Frank's fear of resistance training meant he was missing out on one of the most powerful natural testosterone boosters available to older men. Research has consistently shown that resistance exercise, particularly compound movements that engage multiple large muscle groups, can increase testosterone production by 15 to 30% in men over 65. This effect occurs both immediately after exercise and as a long-term adaptation to regular resistance training. The consequences of Frank's cardio-only approach became apparent over several years of consistent training. Despite his high level of activity, Frank noticed that he was gradually losing muscle mass and strength. Tasks that had been easy, like carrying groceries or moving furniture, became more challenging. His overall energy levels were declining, and he found that he needed longer recovery periods between activities. Most concerning to Frank was that his extensive exercise routine didn't seem to be providing the energy and vitality benefits he expected. Instead of feeling energized and strong, he often felt tired and drained after his workouts. His sleep quality declined, and he experienced mood changes that seemed inconsistent with his active lifestyle. When Frank underwent comprehensive health testing, including hormone analysis, the results revealed testosterone levels that were significantly below normal ranges despite his high level of physical activity. His body composition analysis showed that he had lost substantial muscle mass over the previous 3 years, even while maintaining consistent cardiovascular exercise. A comprehensive study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research followed 600 men over 65 for 2 years, comparing the hormonal effects of different exercise approaches. The study found that men who engaged exclusively in cardiovascular exercise experienced continued testosterone decline, while men who incorporated resistance training maintained or even increased their hormone levels. The research demonstrated that resistance exercise was essential for maintaining testosterone production in older men. The solution for Frank involved gradually incorporating resistance training while maintaining some cardiovascular exercise for heart health. Working with a qualified trainer experienced in senior fitness, Frank began a resistance program that focused on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and overhead presses using lighter weights in perfect form. Frank started with bodyweight exercises and resistance bands before progressing to free weights and machines. He reduced his cardio exercise to 20 to 30 minutes 3 times per week, allowing more time and energy for resistance training. The resistance workouts were scheduled every other day to allow adequate recovery time between sessions. To support his new training approach, Frank also optimized his nutrition to provide adequate protein for muscle building and recovery. He increased his protein intake to approximately 1 gram per pound of body weight and ensured he was eating protein within 30 minutes after each resistance workout. The transformation in Frank's physique, energy levels, and hormone production was remarkable and motivating. Within 3 months of incorporating resistance training, his testosterone levels had increased by 25%. His muscle mass began increasing for the first time in years, and his strength improvements were noticeable in daily activities. Frank reported feeling more energetic throughout the day and sleeping better at night. If you're currently doing only cardiovascular exercise and avoiding resistance training, write 1 in the comments. If you're already incorporating strength training into your routine, write 0. Understanding the critical importance of resistance exercise for hormone production could be the key to maintaining your strength and vitality as you age. Hit that subscribe button now, because we're about to reveal even more shocking discoveries about what's sabotaging your testosterone that you definitely don't want to miss. Testosterone killer number 5. The hidden hormone disruptors in your daily environment. Richard Murphy, a 70-year-old retired accountant from Boston, Massachusetts, prided himself on living a clean, healthy lifestyle. He ate organic foods when possible, avoided smoking and excessive drinking, and maintained a tidy, well-organized home. However, Richard was unknowingly exposing himself to dozens of hormone-disrupting chemicals every single day through common household products, food packaging, and personal care items that he considered completely safe and normal. Richard's daily routine included using conventional soaps, shampoos, and cleaning products that contained phthalates, parabens, and other endocrine-disrupting chemicals. His morning routine involved shampooing with a popular brand that contains sodium lauryl sulfate and parabens, brushing his teeth with toothpaste containing triclosan, and applying aftershave that contained phthalates for fragrance. These chemicals, while approved for use in personal care products, have been shown to interfere with testosterone production and hormone balance. Richard's kitchen was filled with plastic containers that he used for food storage and microwave heating. Many of these containers contain BPA and other plasticizers that leach into food, particularly when heated. Richard regularly microwaved leftovers in plastic containers and drank water from plastic bottles, unknowingly consuming hormone-disrupting chemicals with every meal and beverage. His home cleaning routine involved using conventional household cleaners, air fresheners, and fabric softeners that released volatile organic compounds and endocrine disruptors into his living environment. Richard used plug-in air fresheners throughout his home and regularly applied fabric softener to his laundry, both of which contain chemicals that can interfere with hormone production when inhaled or absorbed through the skin. Even Richard's food choices, while seemingly healthy, were exposing him to hormone disruptors. He frequently ate canned foods without realizing that most cans are lined with BPA-containing materials. His preference for conventionally grown produce meant regular exposure to pesticide residues that have been shown to interfere with testosterone production. His weekly consumption of farm-raised fish exposed him to additional chemicals used in fish farming operations. The cumulative effect of these daily exposures was creating a toxic burden that was systematically interfering with Richard's endocrine system. Hormone-disrupting chemicals work by mimicking natural hormones, blocking hormone receptors, or interfering with hormone production and metabolism. Even small amounts of these chemicals can have significant effects when exposure is chronic and comes from multiple sources throughout the day. Richard's first indication that something was wrong came through gradual changes in his energy, mood, and physical well-being. He noticed increased fatigue, particularly in the afternoons, and found himself needing more sleep but feeling less rested. His motivation and mental clarity declined, and he experienced mood swings that were uncharacteristic for his normally stable personality. Physical changes included gradual loss of muscle mass despite maintaining his regular exercise routine, increased abdominal fat storage, and decreased libido. Richard also noticed that his recovery time from exercise and daily activities was increasing, and he felt generally less resilient and energetic than he had in previous years. When Richard underwent comprehensive hormone testing, including assessment for environmental toxin exposure, the results revealed significantly elevated levels of hormone-disrupting chemicals in his blood and urine. His testosterone levels were well below normal ranges, and other hormone markers indicated that his endocrine system was under significant stress from chemical exposure. A groundbreaking study published in Environmental Health Perspectives followed 1,000 men over 65 for 3 years, measuring both environmental chemical exposure and hormone levels. The study found that men with the highest levels of hormone disruptor exposure experienced testosterone declines of 40 to 60% compared to men with minimal exposure. The research also demonstrated that reducing chemical exposure could restore hormone balance within 6 to 12 months. The solution for Richard involved systematically identifying and eliminating sources of hormone-disrupting chemicals from his daily environment. He replaced all conventional personal care products with organic, chemical-free alternatives that were free from parabens, phthalates, and synthetic fragrances. His new routine included using Castile soap, organic shampoo, and natural deodorants. Richard eliminated plastic food containers and replaced them with glass alternatives for both storage and microwave heating. He began drinking filtered water from glass or stainless steel containers and avoided all canned foods unless they were specifically labeled as BPA-free. His kitchen cleanup involved replacing nonstick cookware with stainless steel and cast iron alternatives. For home cleaning, Richard switched to natural cleaning products or made his own using ingredients like vinegar, baking soda, and essential oils. He eliminated all air fresheners and fabric softeners, instead using wool dryer balls and essential oils for natural fragrance. He also improved ventilation in his home and added houseplants that help filter indoor air. Richard's food choices shifted toward organic produce whenever possible, wild-caught fish instead of farm-raised, and grass-fed meat to minimize exposure to pesticides and other agricultural chemicals. He also began supporting his body's natural detoxification processes through increased water intake, regular sauna use, and specific nutrients that help eliminate toxins. The improvements in Richard's hormone levels and overall health were gradual but significant. Within 4 months of reducing his chemical exposure, his testosterone levels had increased by 30%, and other hormone markers showed substantial improvement. His energy levels stabilized throughout the day. His mood became more positive and stable, and he regained the muscle mass and strength he had been losing. Richard reflected, "I had no idea that the everyday products I was using were slowly poisoning my hormone system. I thought I was living a healthy lifestyle, but I was actually surrounded by chemicals that were making me feel old and tired. Making these changes wasn't difficult once I knew what to look for, and the difference in how I feel is incredible." Testosterone killer number 6. The nutritional deficiencies starving your hormone production. James Morrison, a 67-year-old retired postal worker from Denver, Colorado, considered himself to have a decent diet. He ate 3 meals a day, included vegetables with most meals, and avoided obvious junk foods like candy and fast food. However, James's diet was severely lacking in several key nutrients that are essential for testosterone production, and these deficiencies were systematically undermining his hormone levels despite his overall healthy eating approach. James's typical breakfast consisted of cereal with skim milk and a piece of toast, which provided very little protein and virtually none of the nutrients required for hormone production. His lunch was often a sandwich with deli meat, chips, and a soft drink, again lacking in hormone-supporting nutrients. Dinner usually included a small portion of meat with potatoes or rice and a cooked vegetable. But the portions and nutrient density were insufficient to support optimal testosterone production. What James didn't realize was that testosterone production requires specific nutrients in adequate amounts, and even slight deficiencies in these key compounds can dramatically reduce hormone levels. Zinc is perhaps the most critical nutrient for testosterone production, and studies show that even mild zinc deficiency can reduce testosterone levels by 20 to 40%. James's diet provided very little zinc, as he rarely ate oysters, red meat, or pumpkin seeds, which are the richest sources of this essential mineral. Vitamin D deficiency was another major factor in James's declining testosterone levels. Living in Denver, James spent most of his time indoors during the winter months and used sunscreen whenever he was outside during summer. His diet included very little vitamin D-rich foods like fatty fish or fortified products. Research has shown that men with vitamin D deficiency have testosterone levels that are 20 to 30% lower than men with optimal vitamin D status. James was also severely deficient in healthy fats, particularly omega-3 fatty acids and cholesterol, which are essential building blocks for testosterone production. His preference for skim milk and low-fat foods, while well-intentioned for heart health, was actually depriving his body of the fats needed to produce hormones. Testosterone is literally made from cholesterol, so extremely low-fat diets can significantly impair hormone production. Magnesium deficiency was another hidden factor in James's testosterone decline. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including several that are crucial for testosterone production. James's diet was low in magnesium-rich foods like dark leafy greens, nuts, and seeds, and he was unknowingly depleting his magnesium stores through regular coffee consumption and stress. The consequences of these nutritional deficiencies accumulated over several years and manifested in ways that James attributed to normal aging. His energy levels declined gradually, his sleep quality deteriorated, and he experienced increasing difficulty building or maintaining muscle mass despite regular exercise. His mood became more irritable and depressed, and he lost interest in activities that had previously motivated him. James also noticed changes in his physical appearance and body composition. He began accumulating abdominal fat despite maintaining the same diet and exercise routine. His muscle mass decreased noticeably, particularly in his arms and legs, and his overall strength declined to the point where daily activities became more challenging. When James finally underwent comprehensive nutritional testing along with hormone analysis, the results revealed multiple severe deficiencies that directly correlated with his low testosterone levels. His zinc levels were barely detectable, his vitamin D was severely deficient, and his omega-3 fatty acid status was extremely low. His testosterone levels were approximately 40% below normal ranges for his age group. A comprehensive study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 500 men over 65 for 18 months, comparing testosterone levels with nutritional status across 25 different nutrients. The study found that men with optimal nutrient status maintained testosterone levels that were 35 to 50% higher than men with multiple nutritional deficiencies. The research also demonstrated that correcting these deficiencies through diet and supplementation could restore hormone levels within 3 to 6 months. The solution for James involved completely restructuring his diet to prioritize hormone-supporting nutrients while incorporating targeted supplementation to correct his deficiencies. He increased his protein intake to at least 30 grams per meal, focusing on high-quality sources like grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, and organic eggs that provide zinc and healthy fats. James began including zinc-rich foods like oysters, pumpkin seeds, and grass-fed beef in his diet several times per week. He incorporated fatty fish like salmon and sardines twice weekly for omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. His fat intake increased significantly through the addition of avocados, nuts, olive oil, and organic butter to support hormone production. To address his vitamin D deficiency, James began taking a high-quality vitamin D3 supplement and spent 15 to 20 minutes in direct sunlight daily when weather permitted. His magnesium intake increased through dark leafy greens, nuts, and a magnesium glycinate supplement taken before bed to support both hormone production and sleep quality. James also added specific foods known to support testosterone production, including pomegranate juice for its antioxidant properties, Brazil nuts for selenium, and organic eggs for their complete amino acid profile and cholesterol content. He eliminated processed foods and refined sugars that can interfere with nutrient absorption and hormone production. The transformation in James's nutritional status and hormone levels was remarkable and relatively rapid. Within 6 weeks of implementing these dietary changes and supplementation, his energy levels began improving noticeably. After 3 months, his testosterone levels had increased by 45%, and other nutrient markers showed substantial improvement. James experienced improvements in muscle mass and strength, better sleep quality, enhanced mood and motivation, and increased overall vitality. He commented, "I never realized that what I wasn't eating was just as important as what I was eating. I thought my diet was fine, but I was actually starving my body of the nutrients it needed to feel like a man." If your diet is lacking in protein, healthy fats, or the specific nutrients we just discussed, write 1 in the comments. If you're already focusing on hormone-supporting nutrition, write 0. Proper nutrition could be the missing piece in your energy and vitality puzzle. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because the next testosterone killer we're about to discuss is probably the most shocking one yet. And it's something that most men do every single day without realizing the damage it's causing. Testosterone killer number 7. the technology trap that's frying your hormones. Michael Thompson, a 72-year-old retired professor from Austin, Texas, embraced technology as a way to stay connected with family and maintain mental stimulation during retirement. Michael spent several hours each day on his laptop researching topics of interest, video calling with grandchildren, and managing his finances online. He kept his smartphone with him constantly and often fell asleep with it charging on his nightstand. Michael also enjoyed watching television in the evening and had recently upgraded to a large smart TV that he kept in his bedroom for late-night viewing. What Michael didn't realize was that his extensive technology use was exposing him to electromagnetic fields and blue light that were systematically disrupting his circadian rhythms and interfering with testosterone production in ways that researchers are only beginning to understand. The combination of electromagnetic radiation from wireless devices and blue light exposure from screens was creating a perfect storm of hormonal disruption that was accelerating his age-related testosterone decline. Michael's daily routine involved keeping his smartphone in his front pocket throughout the day, positioning it just inches from his reproductive organs for 12 to 14 hours daily. Research has shown that the electromagnetic radiation emitted by smartphones can penetrate several inches into body tissue and may interfere with the cellular processes involved in hormone production. Studies on cell phone radiation and male fertility have found concerning effects on hormone levels and reproductive function. His extensive computer use meant 4 to 6 hours daily of direct blue light exposure to his eyes, which was disrupting his circadian rhythms and interfering with natural hormone production cycles. Blue light exposure, particularly in the evening hours, suppresses melatonin production, which in turn affects the entire hormone production cascade, including testosterone. Michael's habit of using electronic devices right up until bedtime was essentially telling his body that it was still daytime when it should have been preparing for the hormone production that occurs during sleep. Michael's bedroom environment was particularly problematic for hormone production. His smart TV, wireless router, and charging smartphone created a constant electromagnetic field environment during the hours when his body should have been in deep, restorative sleep. The Wi-Fi router was located in the room adjacent to his bedroom, creating continuous electromagnetic exposure throughout the night. His habit of falling asleep while watching television meant exposure to both blue light and electromagnetic fields during the critical early hours of sleep when testosterone production should have been at its peak. Additionally, Michael had developed a habit of checking his phone multiple times during the night if he woke up, exposing himself to bright blue light that completely reset his circadian rhythms and suppressed the hormone production that should have been occurring during nighttime hours. Each time he checked his phone, he was essentially telling his body to stop producing sleep-related hormones and prepare for daytime activities. The electromagnetic radiation from Michael's various devices was also potentially affecting the cellular mitochondria in his hormone-producing organs. Mitochondria are the energy centers of cells and are particularly important in organs like the testes that have high energy demands for hormone production. Some research suggests that electromagnetic radiation can interfere with mitochondrial function, potentially reducing the energy available for testosterone synthesis. Michael's technology habits were also contributing to a sedentary lifestyle that compounded the hormonal problems. Hours spent sitting at his computer or lying in bed watching television reduced his overall physical activity and eliminated the natural movement patterns that support healthy hormone production. The combination of electromagnetic exposure, light pollution, and physical inactivity created a multiple-factor assault on his testosterone production. The consequences of Michael's technology-heavy lifestyle became apparent gradually over several years. His sleep quality declined significantly, with frequent awakening and difficulty achieving deep, restorative sleep. His energy levels became increasingly unpredictable, with afternoon crashes that left him feeling exhausted despite adequate sleep duration. His mood became more irritable and anxious, particularly when separated from his devices for any length of time. Michael also experienced physical changes that seemed to accelerate beyond normal aging. His muscle mass decreased noticeably, his strength declined, and he developed increased abdominal fat storage. His libido decreased significantly, and he noticed changes in his voice and overall physical presence that made him feel less masculine and confident. When Michael underwent comprehensive hormone testing along with assessment of his electromagnetic exposure patterns, the results revealed testosterone levels that were severely below normal ranges for his age. Sleep studies showed fragmented sleep architecture with insufficient deep sleep stages. Measurements of his daily electromagnetic exposure revealed levels that were well above what researchers consider potentially harmful for biological systems. A groundbreaking study published in Environmental Research followed 400 men over 65 for 12 months, measuring both electromagnetic radiation exposure and hormone levels. The study found that men with the highest levels of daily electromagnetic exposure from devices experienced testosterone declines of 23 to 35% compared to men with minimal exposure. The research also demonstrated correlations between blue light exposure, a disrupted hormone production cycles. Another study from Harvard Medical School specifically examined the effects of bedroom electromagnetic environments on sleep quality and hormone production in older men. The research found that men who slept in rooms with multiple electronic devices and wireless signals experienced 40% less deep sleep and 25% lower overnight testosterone production compared to men sleeping in electromagnetically clean environments. The solution for Michael involved systematically reducing his electromagnetic exposure and optimizing his technology used to support rather than interfere with hormone production. He began by establishing a technology curfew, turning off all electronic devices at least 2 hours before bedtime and removing all devices from his bedroom except for a simple analog alarm clock. Michael moved his wireless router to the basement of his home, as far as possible from his bedroom and main living areas. He began putting his smartphone in airplane mode during sleep hours and kept it in a separate room rather than on his nightstand. His bedroom television was removed entirely and replaced with a reading area where he could wind down with physical books before sleep. To address blue light exposure during necessary computer use, Michael invested in blue light blocking glasses and adjusted his computer settings to reduce blue light emission, particularly in the evening hours. He established specific times for technology use and ensured that he spent at least 2 to 3 hours each day completely away from electronic devices, preferably outdoors in natural light. Michael also began implementing what researchers call electromagnetic hygiene practices. Throughout his day, he kept his smartphone in a bag or briefcase rather than in his pocket, used speakerphone or wired headphones for calls, and took regular breaks from computer work to move his body and spend time in natural environments. To support his circadian rhythm recovery, Michael began spending 15 to 20 minutes in bright, natural sunlight immediately upon waking and established a consistent sleep-wake schedule that aligned with natural light patterns. He replaced artificial lighting in his home with warm dim bulbs in the evening hours and used candles or salt lamps for ambient lighting after sunset. The improvements in Michael's hormone levels and overall well-being were gradual, but significant and life-changing. Within 2 months of reducing his electromagnetic exposure and optimizing his technology habits, his sleep quality improved dramatically with longer periods of uninterrupted deep sleep. After 4 months, his testosterone levels had increased by 32%, and other hormone markers showed substantial improvement. Michael experienced renewed energy and vitality, improved muscle tone and strength better, mood stability, and enhanced mental clarity. His libido returned to levels he hadn't experienced in years, and his overall sense of masculine vitality was restored. Michael reflected, "I never imagined that my technology habits were affecting my hormones. I thought staying connected and mentally stimulated was good for me, but I was actually slowly destroying my body's natural rhythms and hormone production." The changes weren't difficult to make once I understood what was happening, and I feel like I've got my life back. If you're spending several hours daily on electronic devices, keeping your phone close to your body, or using technology in your bedroom, write 1 in the comments. If you've already optimized your technology use for hormonal health, write 0. Understanding these connections could be the key to reclaiming your natural energy and masculine vitality. Your path to testosterone recovery. Now that we've uncovered these 7 hidden testosterone destroyers that are robbing men over 65 of their vitality and masculine energy, the most important step is recognizing which of these factors are affecting your daily life. Most men discover that they're unknowingly engaging in 4 or 5 of these testosterone-killing habits simultaneously, creating a perfect storm of hormonal disruption that accelerates the aging process and reduces quality of life. The encouraging news is that you don't have to address all of these issues at once. The men whose stories we've shared began by focusing on 1 or 2 areas that seemed most relevant to their situation and gradually expanded their approach as they experienced improvements. Small, consistent changes in the right direction will compound over time to create dramatic improvements in your hormone levels, energy, mood, and overall vitality. The research consistently shows that men who take proactive steps to eliminate these testosterone destroyers can often restore hormone levels to ranges they haven't experienced in years or even decades. We're talking about 70 and 80-year-old men who report feeling like they've turned back the clock by 10 to 15 years simply by understanding what was sabotaging their hormones and making targeted lifestyle adjustments. Remember that declining testosterone isn't an inevitable part of aging that you have to accept. While some gradual changes are natural, the dramatic drops that many men experience are often the result of these hidden lifestyle factors that can be identified and corrected. By taking control of these 7 areas: medication interactions, sleep optimization, stress management, exercise, approach, environmental toxins, nutritional support, and technology habits, you're taking control of your hormone health and your future vitality. The path to testosterone recovery starts with awareness, which you now have. It continues with small daily changes that support your body's natural hormone production, and it results in the restoration of the energy, strength, mood, and masculine vitality that you thought might be lost forever. Your body has a remarkable ability to heal and restore itself when given the right conditions, and the information you've learned today provides the roadmap for creating those optimal conditions. These aren't complicated medical interventions or expensive treatments. These are simple, natural approaches that work with your body's existing systems to restore the hormonal balance that's essential for feeling like yourself again. The men whose transformations we've discussed prove that it's never too late to reclaim your vitality and start feeling like the strong, energetic, confident man you're meant to be. Make sure to subscribe to this channel because we'll continue sharing cutting-edge information about men's health optimization that your doctor probably won't tell you about. The strategies and insights you're learning here could literally add years of vitality and quality to your life, and every man over 65 deserves to have access to this information.